This is
Okay.
PENSDOWN. Here we talk to media practitioners. We get to understand what they go through, their journalism journey. A lot remains unreported, not because they don't want to, but because the
Mm.
principles of media practice and journalism don't allow experiences to be built into the storytelling art. Today, I've been joined by the head of programs for Plus TV Africa, Funmi, Akinsola, Unuajefe. I hope I got it right.
Yes, you did. Good attempt.
Fantastic. Welcome to PENSDOWN.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Right. Um, what informed your decision to have anything to do with journalism or media in the first place?
Okay, I'll tell you this backstory. I think I was like, exposed to it very early. So
Mm,
when I was younger, I used to go for TV commercials. I also used to go for recordings. There was a program that I used to show in local Nigerian TV called Tales by Moonlight.
okay.
And the actor of that show, Auntie Kem, lived on my block in my estate. So we would go for the recordings and I would see all the behind the scenes, the cameras and everything. And I loved it. And then I'll go for radio jingles. I used to do radio jingles as a child. So I'll do the radio jingles. And then the person that will take me will, you know how it is when you take children and you
Yes,
take them a tour around the station, see the
that's right.
equipment and everything. I think that exposure from an early age, um, you know, got me into it. So got me interested in it.
Okay.
But I got into, should I say, I got into media by accident. So this will happen when I finished university. You submit your project and then you come home before you have all the complication and all the works. So while I was waiting,
Yeah.
there was a popular program that also used to run in Nigeria called New Dawn with Funmi. And
Okay.
so there was screen one day I used to watch the show avidly, I was an avid watcher of the show. And so one day my mom, they were scrolling openings for new staff. And my mom said, "Oh, why don't you try to apply?" And I'm like, "I just finished school. I don't think they'll take me." She said, "You know what? You never know." And then even the experience, you would have had it. And just like that, I applied, and then the rest, like they say, is history. I started out as a production assistant,
Mm.
rose to associate producer before I left her. So yeah, so basically, it was not as if I chose or I set out to do it, but literally just, should I say, chose me? Yeah.
How long have you been in media practice and what has kept you all these years?
Um, I've been in media practice now for 15 years, or when I started my journey with media, 15 years. What has kept me is the power in people's stories.
Mm,
I wanted to share people's stories. So every day, and I think it's a gift for me that people, I'm interested in people's stories. I want to, so if I meet you for the first time, if we ever get to do a physical meeting, I just want to know about you, what makes you, so in doing that, I've been able to, um, I don't know, find joy for myself. So I wouldn't say it's, oh, maybe the passion or money or anything. It's just genuinely wanting to listen, learn from people, and also tell their story. So that has been the number one thing that has kept me, in the business so far.
what is your core responsibility as head of programs for Plus TV Africa?
Is to ensure that the programs run well. Everything that we have great content,
Mm,
and that everything runs well. So your producers go out and film their good stories. Everything is run at a certain time, and then we tell a balanced story. And so for the
mm.
programs, ensure to tell a balanced story, ensure to get the right experts and the right fit for the channel. So basically, just to ensure that everything concerning programs of the channel runs very
Mm.
well. So that's it. Yeah.
What's your role in the introduction and conceptualization of new programs?
Um, I'm very program. So, first of all, well, I'm sometimes, not all
Mm,
the time,
mm.
I initiate it, but most
Okay.
times some people come to me. So some of the staff come and meet me and say, "Oh, we have this fantastic idea of what show should run on the channel," and I wasn't even thinking about it at all. So we
mm,
give them an opportunity to start it, and I just help polish the idea. We sit down, we have a meeting, sometimes just with the person, sometimes with other producers, and say, okay, this thing will work like this. I think this thing will do. We give it a shot, and then if it works, fantastic. If it doesn't work, we count our losses, see what could have done better. If we should try and put it back up. If not, we just let it die.
You were once a TV presenter, an on-screen person, but now
Yeah.
you seem to have reclined yourself to the backbench, doing a lot more unsung heroine stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, why did you run away from the streets? Was your privacy taken away from you?
No, no. So I still present one program on the channel. It's called One on One. But
Okay.
for me, it's not even about the privacy. Not the privacy. Well, the privacy is sort of, but not necessarily privacy. I
Mm,
actually enjoy doing my producer work because with being in front of the camera, that's for me personally. Being in front of
mm,
the camera, it's a lot of um I would say a lot of work, but I feel like I feel more empowered behind the camera because you're able to tune the story. So I always talk about the power of a
mm.
producer. The
Okay.
producer is able to um, tune, he or she is able to tune what do you want this show to be like? What do you want the crux of the matter to be? Who are the people who should come? You are the deciding factor of what
Mm,
to project and how this
mm,
thing should be. And then also, like I said, because I like talking to people, especially when you want to just go down into a place and you want to hear the stories and you want to really extract information. So I really enjoy being behind the camera. I feel empowered by that to go down and say, okay, let's take this angle, let's talk to this person. And if this person doesn't agree to, you have to now go and convince them of why they're not, why it would be a good idea to tell their story. And if they don't want to, then that's okay. So I personally just feel empowered. I feel like there's more power behind the camera than just being in front of.
mm. Producers I have hosted on this show tell me producers have not been celebrated enough. They remain the unsung heroes and heroines of
Yeah,
everything media in terms of content production and the overall output. From where you sit,
I totally agree.
have producers been celebrated enough?
No, but and I will speak also always from my own personal perspective. I
Mm,
think your work should just speak for you because once your work is acclaimed or you receive an award or you're not even necessarily because sometimes we think only in monetary terms and terms of award. You might have just pushed us a very beautiful story and issue. That for me is a celebration of you. That should you should find fulfillment than looking for validation from external parties. I'm not saying it's not a good thing. It's a fantastic thing if producers are, you know, honored and people give because I don't know if there are people that give award for best producer of something, but at least for news and documentary programs. But what always happens is
mm,
um people just focus on the presenters, the face and the voice
yes.
they see. But I just feel like as a producer, because if you really wait for that, if you're waiting for people to applaud you or commend your work, you will just get discouraged. So that your work gets seen, gets on air, makes the impact that you desire for it to make, that for me is enough celebration for you.
Some of the producers I have hosted tell me that they make the presenters. The heroes that are made out of the presenters is actually based on their work.
Okay.
Have there been times that you have had disagreement over how the content should be run on the program with the presenter? And how
Oh
was it
yes,
resolved?
I think that happens all the time, but that's why for every production, even if though it depends on the type. If you're having like a live production, you might not be able to have like a pre-production meeting like every day.
Mm,
But that's why it's essential to have like a pre-production and post-production meeting. What do
mm,
you intend to achieve when we're setting out? Then after the show, what did it we achieve? I didn't like this. I like this. Let's not do this. And then sometimes, yes, you're the producer, but you also can't be Lord and Master because you have to listen to your presenters and let them tell you their perspective of what they think about things. And like I said, no human being has all the answers. You may not even be thinking in that direction. And then they bring this fantastic idea to you, and you're like, oh, you know what? That's a good angle. I didn't think of that because you also want to be working with smart presenters and not just pretty faces on the air. So I oftentimes don't go in the route of fighting with the person. You want to first of all
mm,
hear what happened. Why do you think you needed to change your mind, or why do you need this and this? And then the person now explains. If it makes sense, then you let it go, and anybody or you disagree with the why we wanted to do this like this. This were the facts behind this. What we're trying to project, and this and this and this. Please ensure that it doesn't happen again. So if that person, that presenter, now consistently carries on doing what is wrong, then you now that is when I now get to have an issue with you because it has become a deliberate thing now for you. Every time you have a show with your producer, and you have had it, and you have agreed that this is what you want to do, then you now, so that's it.
How is social media changing the practice of journalism?
Well, like everything, it has its good and bad sides. So, when a story happens, as journalists, you're trained first to verify and not just jump the bandwagon and go and, And then because sometimes even when you carry your phone and you see it, not everything. I think the world has even changed, and now they will tell you in journalism that seeing is not always believing because there's always another angle to the
Yes.
story. So even when somebody has carried their camera and you're there, like I'm showing you this now, live, 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 you can't. And because the era of social media, people want to digest things now, now, now. People want to take things now, now, now. So you have to be very careful because you know that your report can make or break a situation. It can cause a quarrel. It can cause so many things. So I can remember there was I was I was covering an election sometime, and then when I got it ran into the middle of the night, like around 2 a.m. So I had to, because where my camera operator, so we'll take turns to go and take a break and then find food to eat. And when I got outside to buy a meal, I saw some young boys with jerry cans of petrol and a broom and all of that. They were just so I just greeted them, and then they were from a particular tribe in the country. I just greeted them, but I didn't report that part. Somebody else would have gone and carried the phone. I didn't because I just said need to do that. And then if I go and report this thing, I carry my phone now, and what is it going to what outbreak, or what is it going to cause? What is it going to create? Is it going to create fear? Is it going to create panic? But the great thing also about social media is that for journalists that have actually told real stories and verified it, it's a great tool for you to put it out there beyond traditional media, to be able to reach out to people and more people get to see your story. So I think for me, that's the so it's always everything, not all good, not all bad. So how it has affected journalism today is that everybody wants to break the news first. Nobody wants to verify if it's true or false or bring in all the detailed angles. You don't want to say, oh, this person carried it first. And then sometimes journalists fall into that trap. You haven't verified, but you say, oh, because somebody put it up on your social media page, you quickly carry it and then you want to use it. So yeah.
Does journalism pay?
Has journalism paid?
Yeah. Does it pay?
Pay in terms of money or
Yes.
pay
I
in
mean,
terms
is it
of
worth it?
If you're talking about monetary wise, nah, not really. But if it's in terms of yes, and I think it's not just only in Nigeria, I think it's all over the world. Yes, I know some places pay better, but hey. But for me, fulfillment, I feel very fulfilled, and then I've also gotten to meet quality people like you. So it's because of my work that we've gotten to know each other. So it's the kind of people that I've met, the impact they've had on my life, the impact I have also been able to have on other people's life as well. So it has been a fulfilling thing. So yes.
In Ghana, there's a lot of attrition. So many trained, qualified journalists are abandoning the craft. They are going into other sectors. Some are going into corporate communications or public relations. For others, it is entirely different fields where they can find survival. If that
True.
is similar to the reality in Nigeria, what exactly is occasioning this?
Money. But the thing also is that I don't like to, because especially now I'm at a management level in my office, so I don't like to always shoot and say, oh, they don't want to pay. Media houses are not fully funded,
Yes.
you know. So we can't afford to pay you, like we say in local parlance in Nigeria here, we can't afford to pay you an armed robber salary or a huge amount of money. Like they are running costs. So for example, in Nigeria, we have power issues. The cost of diesel has recently gone up, and we are running a 24-hour channel. You can't, I can't afford to bring in somebody, for example, and say I'm going to pay him, let me say like 5 million naira. I can't afford that because I'm going to think about my diesel cost as well. So I'm going to probably split that into half. It's not like if I don't want to pay you, but I'm also trying to ensure that the company is run well, that we're advertising. We're getting a lot of advertisements and getting money and all of those things that we need to chase. So I'm glad that you said that in Ghana this happens. So it's not just a Nigeria thing. I think it's just across the world. So
Mm.
many people are going. Many journalists are just saying, you know what, I've done this. I found the fulfillment. I think whatever friends or connections or anything I need to make, I made it here, and then they're going to those corporate companies. But I always find out at the end of the day, some people that go out and do to corporate cons and all of those other things, they always come back or come back to the media woman because it's like their core being. Like that's what they really, really enjoy to do.
Mm. You've done 15 years. If we are to
Yeah.
go back into time 20 years, are you still going to choose journalism or media?
Yes. Like I said, it gives me power to tell stories. So the only thing now is that if I learn a new skill, maybe like so I'm also very interested in tech, using tech to
Okay.
tell stories now. So yeah, so if I learn any other skill or a new skill, I'm still going to be using it in my journalistic way and look for
Mm.
how will that skill empower me to tell a story.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's it.
What are your golden memories these 15 years?
Golden memories. Oh, plenty, plenty. Let me give you the there are plenty, but let me talk about the EdSARS one. We can talk about it now because
Okay.
it's over. So when it was EdSARS and I had to go and report at um the toll gates where
Yeah.
people were killed.
Mm.
Yeah. So it was just a bit scary for me, I
Mm.
wouldn't even lie. And I just to be able to just go there, see the true situation of things, feel there was a lot of palpable tension in there. In fact, that day as I was coming back from that experience, I was mobbed with my camera operator and the driver that took me there. It was the only thing was thank God I'm still here. I had to come out of the car and kept talking to the people, kept trying to calm them down and and all of that. So I think that's like one of the should I say golden moment? But the golden moments are the different things where you go and tell a story. There was an incident with a woman that had an issue. Helped tell we helped tell her story, and eventually she got some help that resolved that
Mm.
issue. That was just the fulfilling thing for me. So just different things. That's different things.
Mm.
So those are good times and good times. So good memories, bad memories, they're all golden moments to me.
Mm. Let's talk about the brown envelope.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your take on it?
Um, I always say to people, so especially now that you say that journalists are leaving the profession,
Mm.
I always say to people, especially my co-journalists, I said, look, there's an adage in a language in Nigeria called Yoruba. They say,
Mm.
um, I'll say it in Yoruba, then I'll translate it. Onokon
Okay.
waja. There's not one way to the market.
Okay.
So this means that as much as you can, so I'm not justifying your media house not paying you or probably owing you salaries, but I
Mm.
always say that if you didn't do that job and you had to do something else, will you not find other means? So you can't depend on solely that job. I always say that try and look for other means that are not distracting. If there are other like businesses, you want to be an MC, just like finding other ways because the brown envelope is real and it exists.
Mm.
Problem with it is that if you need to tell a true story that will your core and everything. We will say some people will say this Nigeria, or we say I don't know, of course you speak pidgin in Ghana. They say, I don't chop before they tell true story. So once you collect the brown envelope, yes, I never chop, you won't make they tell true story. What's the true story? Telling the truth go feed me. So but the truth is people realize that once you take that brown envelope, you will always be at the mercy of those people giving you those envelopes. And I don't know, unless your core value doesn't um doesn't align with that, which I don't know to say if that's okay. I don't know if you should be a journalist, but you will always be at their mercy because every time people swing a brown envelope at you, you'll be willing to collect it and twist the story. So as much as I can, I tell the journalists that work with me and even to myself. So people sometimes will say, "Oh, they're not even giving it to you to bribe you. They want to appreciate your work." you know. So I would just say to them, there's no really there, and it has spoken for you, that helped you. Just just leave it be. So basically, that's it. And many international others that I have worked with, there's some that will not even offer you. They'll tell you that it's not their policy. So they could do so many other things. Maybe you guys will go out for lunch, or if they tell you to come to the events, pay for your transport to and fro, but actually try not to offer you cash. But I know some people say, Madam, you can say this because yeah, maybe be well paid where you are and everything. I agree, but all I'm just saying is that don't be at the mercy of it, because there'll be one time you will need to tell the story that will change people's lives, and you've collected the brown envelope, but you have twisted the amount, you can't do that. Because you see, when you don't collect that brown envelope and they come and call you and say, "Hey, why did you tell the story like this?" You just actually goes back to them and say, "I'm sorry, you're not paying me, so you can't tell me how and how to tell the story." So it is real, it happens, and I know that it happens especially because journalists are not well paid. That's why it goes around. But yeah.
Have you at any time been approached with anything monetary or material to compromise the work you were doing?
Oh yes, that I don't think there's any journalist that's not. Everybody, one way or the other. Yeah. So, but I told you, in fact, the person that don't even think the person speaks to me anymore now. But hey, because that's what going back against your core values as a person, as a journalist, and the ethics of your profession. You can't. Sometimes people want to just, and then the thing is that you have to be very smart to realize they don't come across to you that they want you to change the story. Just it's not really like it's. I just want you. If it's not really like that, you just want me to let me tell it first before you now say, and then you can now take me up on it later and say, but this is not what it is. This is not what it is, and I can now say, okay, if you bring the facts to the table, but other than that, I'm not going to do that. So yeah, that's it.
Is the political ownership of the media a reason for worry? Politicians setting up media houses. Is there a cause for
Yes,
concern?
a huge cost, because especially if the politician. So because for a politician to set up a TV station, it's not necessarily because of profits first, because you and I know that media houses, or they don't make you don't make profit. Even like in the first 5 years or so, you're still trying to find your feet, and
Yeah.
politicians are people that collect down now. So so it's not like it's a profit thing. They also want to add their own voice, push their own agenda into um, the thing. Unless, of course, some of them now hire professionals and say, okay, we leave you to run the show, but it's a lie. They will still come back and interfere and say, no, you have to, because we're the ones funding, we're the ones paying your salary. So you have to ensure that this thing comes in our way. So you can't effectively get a balanced perspective if a politician runs, owns, and is the be all and call all of a TV station. Yeah.
It is obvious you enjoy what you do a lot. But I'm
Yes, I do.
curious, how long do you intend to go before you walk away from the newsroom, the cameras, and all this production and programming works you've been doing?
I tend to go as long as I can, though, Stephen. I tend to go as long as I can, um, till God calls me. I tend to go because, like I said, I enjoy what I do. If it gets to a point that I stop enjoying what I do, and I feel really challenged and I can't bring my best out of it, then I'll say, okay, it's time to find another route. But for right now, as I speak, I really enjoy what I do, so it's fine.
Your experience covering the elections in Nigeria,
Yeah.
will you say it represents about the longest assignment, single assignment you've had to take, where you for
Yes.
hours you were on the field?
Yes. It is. I like that you say this. I'm sure you've covered an election before. It's the
Yes.
longest, always the longest, especially the presidential election. You will stay there for days and days and days, and they're counting the votes and they're doing everything. You have to be there. You're trying to talk to people. Sometimes you're trying. Most of the people that can even speak, of course, either officials or anybody can't talk at the time. You're trying to, because it's like the make or break moment for every country. So it's like the longest hours. The last election presidential election that was, that's just long. We're just there and there, and then at some point when they're counting, you really can't even go home or anything. You have to stay there till the results are announced. So yeah.
PENSDOWN is leading a debate. We want to find out, should journalists be licensed?
Aren't you already licensed? Yes, I think so, but the problem is also with every country, some people can come and use their hand and buy the license. Yes, because that way we are able to weed out the quacks
Mm,
or people who don't do or know their jobs well. So I think yeah, that's a good thing to do, so that way you also raise the entry barrier higher.
mm. Without any empirical proof, I have
Mm.
realized that social media has created richer bloggers in Africa than richer journalists. Why couldn't journalists who are trained to man and effectively use the media, why
Mm.
couldn't they harness fully the potential of social media to their advantage? I'm talking about individual journalists, not media houses.
Yeah.
Is-
So individual journalists, I think what we need to do is, and now again, start to speak for myself. We have to learn social media skills. So of
mm,
course you can't be like the blogger and just put a random story, because has for stories you have to think about the safety. So there was one time that in Nigeria a girl was killed in her school.
mm,
Um was like a religious thing, and some blogger went to the parents' house and put up a phone in their faces and put it on their blog. Of course, it got a lot of views. But as a journalist, I won't do that because I'm thinking about safety.
mm,
This girl was killed um, with like a religious riot. These people can go all crazy and go and what's the word? Start looking for her parents, and then you put their face in the camera. Do you understand?
yeah,
So, but the other side of it is that we have to also learn technical social media skills so
mm,
that we can actually look for ways to now hone our story. So if you're going, so if for example for a documentary, and yes, you have told the story and it's there for the channel, they're saying it, you can now say, okay, I will do like a behind the scenes of
mm,
people want to see, or what happened with this, how does he live, and all of that. So we have to come out to the light and not just say, oh, bloggers and influencers are making money, oh, fans, and blah, blah. We also have to learn the social media skills and start looking at and start thinking differently. How can I make money too without compromising, my core values or compromising? I start looking for other ways that you can now tell the story. So, for example, with the EdSARS, at some point on my phone, I was going live, even when I was talking to the police. But I also had to be careful and all of that. So,
mm,
yes, there were times that I was actually going around doing, all of that. It got some views. So imagine if I'd consistently taken it off,
mm,
then maybe we would have made some money. So we have to look for other ways to hone our social media skills so that we can also make money from it.
mm. One of the celebrated media icons we have in Africa, Mr. Lekon Tufoduri, I
Yeah.
had a
Yes.
conversation with him here. And one of the concerns he expressed is that a lot of media houses don't seem to have a structured orientation system for new staff when they are employed. Because of that, the compass to navigate is always determined by the staff themselves rather than the company providing it. In your
Yeah.
outfit, what is your approach whenever new staff walk in?
So whenever new staff working, we always have an onboarding session.
Mm,
So the HR takes them first of all to all the departments,
mm,
what they do, how they do it, and of course tell you the vision and mission of the channel and what we do, what we don't do, what is expected of you, and if you're ever in a tight corner, you don't know what to do, call your line manager and find out what it is. And so we do an onboarding session and then have the line managers now take that up. So
mm,
after the HR has done the general, I will now take, so if you're in the programs department, for example, we'll tell you do's and don'ts, how you should tell the story, how you shouldn't be demeaning to the people, just the work. So the line manager and then the organization does it, at least in our of at Plus CP Africa. So that's what we do.
Another concern he raised is that a lot of media houses are interested in journalists working rather than their welfare. Indeed, they are looking for the stories rather than how is your family doing? How much are you earning? A proper package that determines what their remuneration is. Are you guilty of this?
Yes and no. So I always tell people it's one thing to say people make the channel. So
Mm,
when you say Plus TV Africa, if you're going to come to Plus TV Africa, it's people that are there.
mm,
So you, the onus is on you as the line manager, where you have people that are working with you to see to their welfare. And I always tell people, sometimes seeing to people's welfare doesn't necessarily mean that you give them cash. It's just being able to call the person up. How are you? How's your family? Is everything going? I didn't see you at work today. Are you okay? I just to just create a friendship, a relationship, and just ensure that everything is okay. Of course, you have to draw a balance so that yes, you're being a friend, but you're also being firm, and they have to remember that they are here also for the work. So welfare in terms of checking up on people is essential. Of course, the monetary aspect, maybe bonuses or
mm,
rewards when they go above and beyond. So I can remember one time one of our staff also went to cover like a rally at some point, and one of the cameramen in that rally, another channel was shot, but he was able to maintain his cool, brought back footage, did everything. Even after the whole chaos went back, there was a
mm,
commendation for the staff,
mm,
for the camera operator and the reporter at the time. And, you know, we also, and sometimes we try to discourage giving monetary too much because I always like when you now do that, you create an unhealthy competition where people are saying that,
yeah,
oh, since this person did this, you gave him 20,000 naira. And so me too, I'm going to go and put myself in the line of danger so that I can make 30,000 naira and all that. Let's not, at least
mm,
my channel do that. So we recommend that sometimes we give the monetary reward, but we don't make it like a constant thing because I feel like that creates like a unhealthy
mm.
situation. Yeah.
In your position as a line manager, you become a bit of a confluence of information of a sort.
Yeah.
Entry-level professionals and mid-career professionals, what are
Yeah.
some of the dilemma situations they approach you with in respect of their job?
Okay. Um, Different things. So first of all, some people think that to be a media professional, all you need to do is be in front of the camera. So we always quarrel about that. And I always tell them because some people come and meet you, oh Miss Funmi, hey, can you just put me on this show? And I'm like, sorry, no, that's not why you're here. You're like to be a producer first. Build your muscle as a producer first. So that is one of the things. Two, sometimes they always find it hard to go and speak with people. So when you go out to send them out for Vox Pop, for example, and Vox Pop, even me with my how many years of being a media professional is one of the hardest things to do. Meeting
Mm,
people on the street, convincing them to come to the camera is not the easiest thing in this world. So you go talk to people. So they come and they meet you that. Then also balancing the story. Sometimes they have those challenges of like over the head angle A, angle B, how they put this in the mix of the story. Then there's sometimes that their parents don't even want them to do. There's still a lot of sometimes a lot of impression about how
mm,
media houses work. You know, there's sometimes that you have to walk late, blood and sweat. There's no special treatment for anybody. There's a
yeah.
public holiday, you're working. So some parents tell their children, oh, they don't want it to work there anymore. How much are they paying you? Please come and sit at home, go and do something else and all that. So yes, that sometimes can be the
Mm.
some of the challenges that we met with here.
One of our colleagues I spoke to tells me that the media appears not to have been created to retain talent, which is why, at a certain level, some people feel there's nothing for them to do. Indeed, he cited an example that in a certain media house, the rules available are only six. So by the time you climb up to the sixth level, if even it is 3 or 4 years apart, there is practically nothing because you cannot be owner or founder or CEO. Now take yourself out of your own setup and look at the media generally. Are you convinced that the media as an industry has been created to retain talents?
Hmm, that's an interesting question. Um, I think so because oftentimes again when people talk about with retaining talent, they always talk, they're thinking always in line of just the presenters.
Mm,
But I always say that even especially outside of this country or this continent, people
mm,
have worked for several years as
yes.
in their roles and they don't want to own the channel. So Christiana Amapo, for example, has worked with CNN. She doesn't want to be Ted Turner. She doesn't want to take his job. She's there with her team and presenting and will keep presenting. We're not going to be worried whether she looks younger or she looks sexy or anything. We're worried. We're just concerned about the powerful story that she's bringing to the table. So I really don't understand when somebody comes and tells me, "Oh, he has been and that's one of the reasons why I always say that we're human beings and we have different expressions. We can, so maybe you cannot say, okay, maybe as a camera operator, you're always in the studio, but you want to now go out to shoot. They should allow you to go out with the documentary producers to go out and shoot. Yeah, that might be different. Or you're a script or an editor, you're bored with editing. So between all of those things, you can always, it depends also on the organization that you work. Because in my organization, I always tell people that work with me, what do you really enjoy to do? Because I don't want you to think that you are fantastic with operating a camera or you want to actually be a newscaster, but I'm here telling you to write a script for a show that I want to produce tomorrow. No, I want you to live your best life, even within the confines of this place. But what we also don't realize is that in moving through all of those roles, we become a better journalist, you become a better presenter, producer when you're able to understand what the editor is doing, what the what's it called is doing, what the news producer is doing, what the documentary. So you are not just confined to your own space. So I disagree when you say that they don't allow them retain talent. The only thing is the was that the mundane. Don't make the work so monotonous and they're doing the same thing every day. Every human being will get tired. Make the work very diverse that they're able to go and shoot somewhere tomorrow. They're talking to somebody in the market today. I find that when people, especially when people are not confined to like a certain role or a space and they're able to do other things, they become they really enjoy it. At least that has worked for me and for people that have recommended it too. So yeah.
When a show or a program doesn't go well, who takes the back? Who does the back stop work?
Producer, with you. With me. it comes because that's why we say to people. But even though, of course, the presenters will, because they're in front of the camera first, people will say, why did this presenter do that? But the thing still comes to the producer at the end of the day, and the one that they are going to look at and say, what happened here? What is this? Why did this go on? Why did this happen? And everything. So, yeah, that's it.
Press freedom. What is your take on press freedom within your immediate jurisdiction? Is the media free? Is it just a rhetoric or there is reality to it?
Press freedom of course, the media is not free. And that's why you have to be careful. And I don't even just like to restrict to say only in Nigeria. So even in other parts of the world that we think that they're totally free.
Yes.
People, the lady that exposed Panama Papers, for example, was she not blown up in her car one day? Was she not killed? Yes. You understand? So there's no, so that's why I was saying about Nigeria, saying, oh, Nigeria, this, Nigeria, that. It happens all over the world.
That's
so
right.
I don't think, maybe eventually, I don't think that will totally be free. Yeah.
Thank you for this. This has been exciting. This has been exciting.
That's really been interesting. Well done. Fantastic work you're doing. Thank you so much for having me. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Truly grateful. Yeah. Today I've had all the way from Nigeria, the head of programs, Plus TV Africa, Funmi, Akinsola, Unuajefe, joining me on PENSDOWN. We've talked her journalism journey. She's done a lot, she's seen a lot, but she's careful not to get herself into trouble like every other journalist.
Yeah.
Grateful for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Stephen. Right. Enjoy the rest of your
Same to you. We'll be back next time with another edition. Thanks for joining us and do stay tuned.